Hello and welcome to another episode of You Talk Too Much, the podcast where I turn my incessant chatter into a platform for insightful conversation. Today I am joined by the wonderful Ashh Blackwood. Ashh is an actress, comedian and musician who you might know better as Aunt Gladys from social media. We will go into all of that, but first, Ashh, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm all right, man.
Yeah?
I'm good. This is exciting.
Yeah?
I like the studio. Good vibes.
Welcome.
Good vibes.
Welcome to the podcast room in Barnes. So yeah, how are things? Good?
Yeah, kind of quiet at the moment.
Cool.
But I'm kind of trying not to panic too much about that. But I'm kind of just embracing the fact that it's quiet because who knows when it will get busy
Exactly.
again. But I'm okay. I'm doing all right.
As
I'm
actors,
good.
when it's busy, we want a break, and when it's quiet, we want to be busy.
Exactly
So,
this.
yeah.
Exactly this.
So, as I said, I like to go back to the very start of everyone's journey. As Julie Andrews said, it's a very good place to start. That's the first time I've said it. It's the second time that's come up, and I hate myself already.
No,
Anyway,
I love you for it.
So where did your journey begin with all of this?
Performing wise, from a very young age, just because my dad used to be an actor / singer, so I watched him doing a lot of things, and I thought, this looks fun. So I started doing just, your your drama clubs, Stagecoach when I was younger, and for some reason it just kept on calling to me, even though I was getting older and people may have, dropped out and done proper jobs or whatever. But I just really enjoyed it. I just enjoyed singing. I enjoyed making people laugh. I didn't think much of it at the time about, maybe I can make this a career because you're a kid and, you don't worry too much about that sort of stuff. But, I kind of just kept going at it with Amdram and stuff. Then I went to Brit School from 2010 to 2012 and took a long gap year of 5 years. Then I went to drama school and then COVID hit. But weirdly enough, I've been in the industry since 2020, since the second lockdown, doing a whole bunch of different things. It's been, been commercials, theatre, audiobooks. Yeah. So there's been a whole bunch of diverse things on my CV, which I wasn't really expecting to do, but I'm very thankful that I've been able to kind of flesh myself out in ways that I wasn't really expecting. I've been probably making videos for like 12 or 13 years, mainly for myself because I enjoy them. And then it wasn't until a couple of years ago things on TikTok just started to just lose its mind and go viral, which I again didn't post it to go viral, just so happened for it to be a thing. And it's just been a really odd journey with social media and stuff. Because it's just something that I wasn't really expecting to fall into. But I think that's the beauty of social media sometimes. It can help elevate what you can already do. Yeah. And I think TikTok very much helped with that. And it kind of I believed in my abilities as a comic actor a bit more when that happened. Because before, just as I said, just doing it with friends and family and stuff. And then when people just started catching on to that, found it very overwhelming. I will not lie. It was, and I still find it very overwhelming when people are commenting and, most of it's positive. Don't get me wrong; it's all positive.
But for every one positive, you probably get, or every 5 or 6 positive, you get maybe a negative.
Yeah,
it's just.
But even with the negative stuff aside, I just tend to get quite overwhelmed when people shower me with stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Even though I'm quite good at hiding it, but I think I'm just trying to find the balance of, okay, this is a job, but also I need to take a step back from this as well, even though it's for fun. It's important to kind of find the balance, which I'm still very much struggling with. But it's been going good thus far.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, can't
and
complain.
I think it's important that you have. I mean, for now, I think everyone who is. I'm going to use the word influencer. I know you're not, but like, if anyone who's gone viral, I think it's important that you can keep your content yours. It's like you have ownership of that. Once it's out there is an element of like it's in the public domain. People can have opinions. People can have that. I mean, that's social media, right? Uh-huh. But like you being able to go, nope, I've had enough today, and close them down for even a day or a month, or however long, I think it's a really healthy relationship with social media.
I think that's why, like you said, the term influencer and like content creator. I think obviously I create content, but it's not my full-time job. And I
Yeah.
do find with influencers and content creators, you know, they seem to have like a full-on schedule about when they're going to post, what time they're going to post, how many videos a week,
Yeah.
and all of that, where I don't do any of that. I post when I feel like it, and if I don't feel
Yeah.
like it, I'm not posting.
Yeah, and
That's
if it's an
thing.
idea comes to your head, then you'll do
Yeah,
it. And
then
move
I'll
it.
write it down, get the ukulele out, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's never, I don't plan to do stuff. It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
And I will probably keep it that way, because I think when it gets to a point where I start to schedule stuff and, you know, think of how I'm going to promote myself or promote this video, that becomes less authentic for me and less real.
Yeah.
And it ends up becoming more of a chore than something I'm just putting out there for banter, because
Yeah.
that's what it is for me.
Yeah.
Social media stuff anyway.
Yeah.
It's just to make other people smile, really. And I've always said to myself, if I always got to make sure that I like what I'm putting out there as well. And if I don't enjoy it, then it's not going out.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to end up just churning stuff out because people are expecting it. I want to be able to churn stuff out or put things out there that is as authentic as possible, while still maintaining my integrity, because I think it's very easy to go viral, because it's happened, to go viral, and then you have a bunch of brands approach you and it's like, we're going to give you all of this, we're going to give you money if you promote this for us or that for us, which sounds fun when, you know, at the time, but if the brand that's approaching me has nothing to do with what I'm doing, to me that doesn't make any sense. So
And you've got to be happy to promote.
Exactly. And I'd rather reject all of them brands. Because to me, it doesn't matter how much money they're offering. I'm like, if it doesn't resonate with me, I'm not going to do it. So
Yeah.
I've had brands approach me to sell speakers or, you know, washing detergent. I'm like, or a pirate video game. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Maybe for the sea shanty part, when Auntie Gladys did sea shanties.
Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of get that thing. But even so, the pirate game was really dark and nothing, like, it was really far afield.
Kind of opposite of what we were doing with that, Gladys.
Yeah, I was like, you stay with the darkness over there. I'm gonna stick with the fun stuff here.
Yeah.
But there's been so many things where I've just been approached with random stuff, and I'm just like, nah, no, thank you.
Yeah, and I think that
worth
it's good to keep your integrity. And actually, previous guest George said the same thing, and he does like comedy TikTok videos that comment on. I mean, I've described it to him as like things that we all can see throughout the day, or like all these things. And he said to me, I can't remember if he said it on air or like on camera, but he did say that he likes to go, it's there, but if it makes me laugh, I'll post it, because I'm like, it's funny then, right? You, at least if no one else laughs, you're gonna laugh and like watch it.
Yeah, I laugh at myself on a daily basis. On a daily, I'm like, Ash, you absolute legend. Come on, put that out there. Come on.
That is hilarious. Yeah.
I will always do that. And I'm just like, if anything feels slightly forced or slightly like, oh, I feel like they want me to do this, but more for them and less for me.
Yeah.
I'm always very conscious of that. And, but yeah, my stuff on social media is kind of morphed into myself anyway with my music.
Yeah.
Which that was probably the only planned thing. I thought at some point in life, I'd like to be able to promote my own music.
Yeah.
But it kind of started off as Auntie Gladys. And then when I got more confident with that character, I thought, okay, what if Ash starts singing some of these mantras or starts singing some of these songs instead? How will that read? So that's gone well as well. And I have music out now on Spotify. Plug.
Yeah, please do.
But
Plug
yeah,
away,
I have that now as well, which is nice. And sorry. So yeah, I'm just floating, just seeing what's happening.
I suppose it keeps your creative juices going when you are in a quiet spell as well. If you want to, you can create a bit of content.
Yeah,
and do all these things.
that.
I'm going to jump back into your 5-year gap year. Was that intentional, or was it?
I think a couple of the years were, for sure.
Yeah.
So I left Brit when I was 18. So we're going back to 2012. So I decided to not audition for that year, the year that I was leaving, because something just felt off about it for me. We had quite a few people. Brit does an amazing thing called UFish, which stands for Your Future Starts Here. And they'd bring in a bunch of people in the industry to talk to the current year 12s and year 13s. And weirdly enough, I just last week
Yeah.
was that person giving the talk to year 12. I was like, a lot's
Full
happened.
circle.
Yeah, full circle. I was like, a lot's happened in 14 years.
Yeah.
But I just remember speaking to or chatting to a lot of the people in the industry at the time. And even though I was enjoying what they were saying, and they were saying that this is is a very difficult industry and whatnot, just something about it just made me think going to drama school at 18 just doesn't feel right for me. It might be all right for other people, because I had so many friends get into drama school that year as well, and they went. But for me, it just didn't feel quite right. So I took the year to just kind of go into the real world, if you will, and just see what that was like, just get some jobs then. And then I auditioned for quite a few drama schools that year. I think it was like Mount View, RADA, GSA, and Bird for some reason. Didn't realise Bird was incredibly dancey, so I walked in, I was like, oh, well, I ain't going here for sure.
We'll have fun.
Yeah, we'll have fun.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting into Mount View that year. And again, my brain just was like, something just doesn't feel right. And I don't know. I think it was just because I just felt too young to go.
Yeah.
So I just thought, you know what? I'm going to go with my gut and just reject the place. And people at the time were like, why would you do that? Like, Mount View's an amazing school. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not going to do something that I feel isn't right for me when there's probably somebody else that's dying to go to that school who would take any opportunity to go to Mount View at that point. So I thought I'd rather give somebody else the place, somebody who feels like they're yearning for it right now, made more sense to me. And I think looking back on it now, I think it was partly, I felt too young, but definitely a thing of, I don't think I'm good enough for this. So I'm going to just do some, what everyone else has said and be like, find a proper job and it'll be fine. Well, my proper jobs were, I did a lot of jobs in those 5 years. I used to operate rides at Chessington. I used to operate rides or help out on the rides at Thorpe Park. Did front of house at New Wimbledon Theatre. I was a chef at Everyman Cinemas whilst running food, cooking the food, bar staff. Used to be a gym receptionist. Used to work at Shrek's Adventure. There was a lot of stuff that I did. But I did find after like the 2-year mark, I'd get a bit bored and I'd have to flee the nest and find something else. But always in the back of my mind, it was like, I want to do acting and I want to perform, but I don't think I'm good enough. So I'm just going to keep on just doing these jobs. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. This is what life is. I'll just do this for the rest of my life. I'll just keep bumping around from job to job. And then it got to 2017 and I can't remember what it was that made me audition again, but I just thought, do I really want to live the rest of my life just thinking I'm not good enough? Because obviously I am, because I got into drama school anyway. So that's one thing. Yeah. And then I just thought, let me just apply again, because the one school that I wanted to go to was GSA. So I only applied for GSA the second time around. And I got on the reserve list, but then I got in. I thought, okay, cool. So I am good enough. Sweet. And there was just something about 2017 which made me go, this is a year where we hit the ground running and we'll just see what happens after we leave. Drama school was a very interesting time. I think a lot of people who go to drama school will say that. So
both good and bad.
Both good and bad. Yeah, learned some stuff. Yeah. But I also learned some stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay. So that was quite an eye-opening 3 years for me. And then COVID hit in March and I was leaving in June. So we had to end up cutting the, thing short. Yeah. But it did teach me that I absolutely have what it takes to be an actor. So that was a good thing that I learned about being there. But at that point, because COVID was COVID, I just thought, well, nothing's going to happen anyway, because we can't do anything. Nobody can do anything. Everything's closed. So I thought, well, this is shit timing, but it is what it is. And I managed to sign. I actually signed with my agent, who I'm still with. I think a week after the pandemic, the shutdown, the lockdown started happening, because they offered me representation back in the previous December, but they were like, please go and look for other people before you settle. I thought that makes perfect sense. Yeah. But I'm still with them now. They're brilliant. And yeah, I've tangented, or I've lost my place. What was I talking about?
It was just COVID. You'd got into drama school.
Yes, COVID. That was it. So when things kind of started to trickle in and start opening up again, I had a few auditions here and there, but didn't think much of them because, again, COVID. But then in November of 2020, the second lockdown, that's when I booked my...
Whatever lockdown was.
They're all in one thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, there was a lockdown. And lo and behold, I had booked my first professional job, which was mad because also at this point, I was working with my mum in her office at the time because she used to work not in a post office, in a post room, but it was very... like you had to brain switch on. So I was doing that for a little bit. And then, November comes around and it was for a commercial. And I was like, I've never done commercials before. This is odd. And the thing I love about, now that I've done a few, I'm like, the thing about commercial auditions, they're just so absurd. I love them so much. They're brilliant.
They are.
But yeah, I had the tape come in and it had a whole bunch of things to do and it was just so stupid and it was so silly. And I was like, I think I got this. Not the job, just the tape, because I thought I know how to just not think too much when it comes to nonsense, like filming yourself doing absolute nonsense on tape. I didn't think much of it. It was a really quick turnaround. I think I got the tape on the Thursday, got penciled on the Friday, and then on the Saturday, because of how quick it was, they were like, yeah, you got the job, so you start on Monday. And it was like, oh, sure, cool. And I thought that was a really nice, that was a 5-day shoot, and it was a very... weird one because obviously COVID, but at the time I didn't know any different. Everyone had masks and you couldn't be around like
someone walking about a 2-meter stick.
It was like so much testing and everything. And then I thought this was a nice job. That'll be nice to keep me ticking because commercial dollar. I thought, okay, well that's gonna be the only job that I get for a while. And then next month booked another commercial. I said, oh, that's nice, great, more money, woo! And then 2 months later booked another commercial. I was like, okay. What? And then literally within 6 months, I'd booked 5 commercials during COVID, and I thought, something's not right here. But you know what? It kind of is. It's fine. Clearly, I'm good at the comedy because it was all comedy stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, so we're onto something here. Clearly, I'm doing something in these tapes or on set or whatever.
Yeah.
In which I'm able to do comedy and able to do it well. Because I've always enjoyed it, as I said, making people laugh or whatever. But I think that little period of just pretty much booking a back-to-back commercial, I thought, right, so you're going to start believing in yourself, or are you just going to be like, oh no, it's just a one-off? I'm like, no, Ash, it's not a one-off, because look at the statistics.
Look at the reps.
Look at the stats, bro.
Yeah.
Look at the stats. So after that, it's like, okay, cool, we're good here. And then, that's when I kind of made the segue into theatre. I did a Horrible History show on the Thames called Horrible History, Terrible Thames. Then after that was The Wiz.
That edition, the Horrible Histories one, I'm going to ask you.
Yes.
Was that the one where you had to tell the ghost story around...
I don't think so.
I had a tape. Well, I say I had a tape. My wife Emma had a tape for them. And it's one of the best tapes I ever saw her do because it was just post-lockdown. She'll kill me for telling this story. But... I mean, you know what? It's a great story. And the tape was like a short film. It was excellent. So when we moved into our house, my dad, as a joke, decided, well, I mean, it wasn't a joke. They are lovely. We've kept them. He bought us 2 garden gnomes to protect us, right?
Love this.
They're about this size. And he named them Gilbert and what was the other one? I'll have to ask. I'll have to find out.
Because it's
Gilbert.
The G.
Maybe it was Gerald. Whatever. It was definitely Gilbert. Yeah. It's now called Gerald, yeah. And Emma had to create this like tale, this horrible tale, this ghost story tale type thing. So she used the gnomes.
I
and
already
she,
love this.
Honestly, she was like, Euan, I've not had a self-tape for ages. I'm just gonna have fun. I think I was working in Waitrose at the time, as you were, surviving during lockdown. And I came back and then she was like, I need to show you this. And it was like a 1.5 minute long like thing. And it was her like it was honestly like it was like Paranormal Activity. She was like walking in and she was in the kitchen and she was like doing something and she would like turn around and like the gnome was at the door and then she'd turn back and then the gnome disappeared and she'd cut all these bits together. And I was like, this is what I thought lockdown was great because she had the time to do it. She was able to like do a whole production value of this self-tape. Unfortunately, it didn't become a job. But I think she said this. She was
Yeah.
like, I had a great time doing it. It was great fun.
If
But
it
like,
happens to fall into my inbox later, this video, just accidentally, I'll be like, oh, what's this?
What's
I have
this?
no idea.
Yeah.
This looks great.
I don't even know if she's still got it. If she does, I will definitely have to send you it because it was very funny.
Well, I can confirm, did not do that
Nope.
at all. I wrote a song on my ukulele. That was my take.
Even better.
Yeah, it was
So
fun.
you did Horrible Histories, and then you said you went into the Wiz. Is that what you were going
Did
with?
the
it? Yeah.
Wiz at Hope Mill Theatre in Manchester. That was my first musical. And again, I was a bit shocked that I got that job because they said no. They said no to me at first because I told them my thing is very much character acting and singing. Like, I can sing well and I can character act well. But if you try to get me to do some split leaps or even just some sort of choreography, I'm just like, listen, I can do that, but it's gonna take me 7 to 10 working years to actually nail the routine because I just can't learn. I've always found it weird in auditions with musical theatre auditions that you get given, you know, your song to learn and you get given how it sounds, and then with acting you have your script, but with dance, for whatever reason, it's like, right, you go in and you just watch someone do it and now you do it, and I'm like,
Oh,
anyone else? There's nobody else.
we could talk about dance auditions
Like,
for a whole hour. My favorite thing I've done was I was
Madness.
told to freestyle and I stood at the back, and this is really bad for the audio listeners, but I basically like pumped my fist in the air and then pretended to open a can of beer and then was like, yeah, and this guy's like doing like street dancing and everything, and I was like, yeah, I've not got this job, but you know what, I had a great time.
you had a great time opening fake beer. We
Yeah.
love this.
Yeah.
That's kind of my vibe. Well, not really my
I was
vibe,
all- yeah,
but just a
it
casual
was-
little two-step if I'm like, yeah, it's groovy.
freestyle for 16 counts, and I go, no.
Yeah, it's just not my vibe. Like, don't get me wrong, I love dancing.
Yeah.
But when it comes to routine, I have to watch it so many times
course.
in order for me to do it. But there's no time for that in the room. So
Which is respectful as well, because they've got you've got to pay for that time, and they've at the end of the day, casting teams are there to do a job, right? Choreographers are there to do a
Exactly.
job.
yeah,
That's why I think early on in your career, when you've just said that's you're very early in your career at that point, you find what auditions suit you, and I think agents do, and teams and representatives find what auditions will suit you. Like,
this
I
is it,
can't remember
yeah.
the last time I went into a dance call for the first time for a first round. Like,
well, even before that, I
Yeah.
said to them, listen, I said, this isn't my skill set, comic actor, singer, or actor singer, whatever you want to call it. And I just said, like, I think I'd be good for, like, one of the witches, because that's my casting. Like, what's the deal with dance? Like, what is it? And she's like, well, the casting team were like, well, everybody has to come in and do a dance audition just so we can see that you can move. And I'm like,
Yeah, cool.
okay, fab. But so they went in already knowing that, you know, I wasn't like a dancer, but I could do the other stuff, which is fine. And yeah, they said no after the dance thing. I was like, that's fine, because you knew this, I knew this, I'm not bothered, it's all good. And I think that, for whatever reason, now that I'm talking about it out loud, that was what kind of started Auntie Gladys to do musical theatre, because Auntie Gladys has done lots of different genres. And I remember I thought, if I want to do anything musical theatre anytime soon, I'm probably just going to have to just do something that's going to catch the industry's eye, that I'm a comic actor who can sing well.
yeah.
So after I got rejected from that, and I was still doing Terrible Thames at the time, Auntie Gladys, this is how she kind of started, which is... Was this the Shanties first? I actually can't even remember. It was so long ago. But I know part of the starting was she's just remixed musical theatre songs, and she did it in little chunks. So I think the first video was like Waitress, and then I think Into the Woods after, and then so it's like little snippets of me just changing the stuff. And I did that for a few weeks, and it worked.
Yeah.
Because people in the musical theatre industry were starting to catch on. It's like, who is this Auntie Gladys? Why is she remixing these songs? What's
Yeah.
going on here?
Yeah.
It then caught the eye of the Wiz casting team, and they were like, hey, Ash, we've seen your videos. Do you want to come in and audition for Eveline, the Wicked Witch of the West? I said, sure, okay. But it was all on tape. So I taped for Eveline, and it was because of me remixing their musical theatre songs.
Did you
They
do
brought
that
me
part
back.
as Aunt Gladys then?
No, but she was Jamaican.
Yeah.
My Evelyn was Jamaican, but she wasn't Auntie Gladys. But she was a Jamaican lady.
Yeah.
At the end of it, but it was from I don't know. I don't think they would have brought me back in had I not remixed musical theatre songs as Auntie Gladys.
Like,
which I
I'm
find
so
strange.
here for that.
Yeah,
because it goes into that remit of like making your own work, right? And like you look at a lot of, and I'm not talking. We'll get into what success is to everyone, but like not talking. I'm saying successful actors. You're all successful in your own right.
Oh, we can get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that later for sure.
But I'm talking like, say what you want. Ruth Jones, James Corden were not working. They created their own piece, and now I don't even know how long it was, but the excitement from fans when they announced that they were doing another. This is what 2 years ago when they were doing another Gavin and Stacey Christmas special. People were buzzing, and they've announced another one this year. People are buzzing. That all came from two friends going, "Should we just write something?" I know there's probably stuff before that, and like they wrote that, and now look where they both are. They're both like megastars, and like that I respect that. I think that people sometimes, especially with the social media world, there's a lot of talk of you got this because of that. Yeah, who cares? I did get that because of that, but I'm also really talented. I work really hard. I auditioned for parts and then just get handed a script to me, and I walked into a room. Like you auditioned, got a no,
did my own thing,
did your own thing,
turned it into a yes,
and it became a yes. Like that's life, and that I think that's really cool.
Yeah. It was really quite nice to when they were like, yeah, you're now Evelyn. And it was a very quick turnaround before the casting thing went out. So I'm not sure if they were struggling to look for the Evelyn. I don't know what the thing was, but either way, something that I had done, they had noticed. And I'm like, so when I know earlier I said I don't plan things too much, but in a kind of playing chess sort of way, the only planning I'll do is stuff like that, where it's kind of a bit more strategic in terms of if I want to notice somebody for an industry I want to do, then I'll do something kind of.
So using your platform, isn't it?
Yeah, just using the platform for that. But in terms of like planning what songs to write, that kind of just comes a bit spur of the moment.
Yeah.
Which then leads us to the sea shanties, because that did come after, and I don't even know. I think at the point, that was when Weller Man was like
viral
absolutely
and doing his thing. Nathan Evans living his life.
And I was like, this is really cool, but also I don't want to go follow the trend of, everyone doing the same thing. I thought, how can I make this trend and make it an Auntie Gladys thing instead just for banter, just to see what would happen. Again, not to go viral, but I thought, let's just see what would happen if I just remix sea shanties for a bit. And I did that again for like a couple of weeks or so. And then one of them just, I think it was Drunken Sailor that she remixed, which just, again, lost its mind. And that was the first time I experienced going viral very quickly in a very short amount of time. I was like, this is a lot. And again, I'd say 99% of the comments were positive. So it wasn't even anything to do with negative things. But I was just like, okay, so this is what going viral is. It really is what it says on the tin. You literally can post something, and then the internet will just take hold of it, and it will just fly completely out of your control. It's crazy.
You mentioned like how you've never posted. Well, you've never actually said this. I'm going to ask you: have you ever posted feeling like I need to post this to maintain the follower I have, or is it even at that point when you went viral, was it still there of going, okay, cool, that's one video. Right, what can I do next? Like, it's always been there?
Yeah, back then it was just like, oh, that's really cool that I've gone viral. That's amazing. Sweet. Amazing. Cool. Yeah. And I would just keep posting, and then, it just so happened that more and more people just kept watching. I think it got to a point where I mentioned that, some brand deals, like from TikTok, wanted me to do some ads for them and stuff. That's when it peaked, I would say. But because I kept saying no, I noticed a massive drop in people viewing my stuff after that. And wow. I don't know much about the algorithm of TikTok. I'm not sure how it all works, but I very much noticed the more I kept rejecting brand deals for TikTok, or, please post a video of you doing this as this, I just noticed it just dropped, and it was kind of steadily dropping. And at first I was like, oh, what have I done? I don't know. But then I thought it's probably just an algorithm. So it did freak me out a little bit, but not enough to stop posting.
Yeah.
And then, kind of just morphed into, my own stuff, me posting as Ashh on my ukulele. But 2022 was the year of everything kind of going viral. That's the year the followers went up and stuff. but it hasn't really been the same since. It's not been like steady since then.
Yeah.
And I guess, as I said, I don't know enough about the platform to speak too much on how algorithms work and stuff. But I would imagine in order to keep the climb, you probably need some sort of PR team behind you.
Well, then someone who's studying that, as you say, the algorithm, or at least a team who know
how to keep it going.
They can guess trends before trends happen. All these things.
It's probably that. Whereas everything that you see me post is me on my own doing it by myself.
Yeah,
pretty much. So I'm really protective of my music specifically, because I know people have been like, can we use your song for this? And it's like they're offering a really shit fee, or they've asked if they could master it, and it's like I've had record labels approach me, but the money has just been, the music industry is a whole different kettle of fish, but the money's not been great, so I've just not, I just said, nah, I'm good. And again,
which is really good that you are doing that. And I think it's like holding, like as you say, holding on, keeping control of your content is something that I guess a lot of people might get blindsided by, and they maybe see, not necessarily straight away, but they imagine what the zeros at the end of that number might be and all these things. And it sometimes isn't always that. Obviously, sometimes it is like that. And I think also to the person, myself, and the other people like me who aren't at that level on social media, who are on what I'd call the base level of social media and use it for what it is, and maybe want to grow, it isn't always what you think. So like someone might be sponsored by someone and you're like, they must be raking it in. And they might be, of course they might be, but they also might be paid per video and per view beyond that, and like get a buyout of crap essentially, and then unless they get peak numbers. But as you've just said, being peak only, it's a peak for a reason.
Ain't all that. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not that deep. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even with these like, we're getting, again, with influencer stuff, I'm only saying this just based on what I can see, because it just seems to me there are some influencers out there who may are doing it for money or whatever, but I think,
which again is fine.
It's fine, but then for me, I don't want to lose my integrity, and I think that's where I differ from being a full-time content creator or a full-time influencer. I'm not saying all content creators are like that at all. I'm not shitting on any content creator who does that for a living at all. But I think you can kind of tell the difference between content creators who are being authentic whilst maybe still selling something, but then it's just like, I'm not prepared to sell my soul to get like 1 million followers.
I've also seen a lot of things of content creators and fans of those creators getting annoyed at how much ads they're posting rather than content.
Yeah.
And that's not, again, that is not even the creator's fault. I actually don't mind that. I go, like, people got to eat. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not working and you've got to make things, like, it's a hustle life out there. Like, we've got to keep going.
There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. It's just, that's just not really the life
you wanted.
I want to lead.
Yeah, and that's
just,
and that's also okay, you know?
Yeah. There's I think there's two sides to content creating, or maybe more sides than just the two. But yeah, like even though I still have quite a lot of followers on TikTok, like, it's still dropping for whatever reason, and it's just like, I can't do anything about that. Because for me, I'd rather, and even on my Instagram, my following on that is small in social media terms and brand and content influencer terms. It's a very tiny fan base. But I'm like, when you look at, I was speaking to the Brit Kids last week, and I'm like, there's 75 of you in this room right now. And when I look at it, I'm just like, that sounds like a tiny amount of numbers when you look at 75 on your phone. But when you actually see 75 people in front of you, that's a lot of eyes staring at you. So I don't worry. So I used to, when it peaked, yes, I did kind of was like, oh gosh, I need to keep going now, as you said. I need to keep maintaining. Oh, I need more followers. And I was thinking, right, okay, so maybe just take a step back. And are you doing this for the followers? Are you doing this for you? If you're doing it for the followers, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. The wrong reasons. I nearly said right reasons. I'm doing it for the wrong reasons. And so I took a step back and I thought, right, what do I want to post? Is it going to be beneficial for me? Am I doing it or am I just doing it for the banter? And there, I think I'm quite good at being self-aware, and I'm good at checking myself when it comes to that sort of thing.
Such a healthy mindset.
Yeah.
And I think that actually goes into the content that you create when it comes to positive affirmations and all these things and the songs you write. That the fact that you believe that yourself is already that to me is sold straight up, because you're singing these things and actually you're going, no, wait a minute, let's check yourself.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. This is okay. Life's all right. We've had our fun and we can have more fun in the future, but right now let's just rein it back in. And I think that's such a healthy mindset for social media in particular. The amount of I teach like younger kids, and the amount of them, it's funny because I've discussed it with friends how when I was younger it was like, I want to be a footballer, or I want to be a fireman, or I don't know, it's like stuff like that. People are like, I want to be a YouTuber, and I'm like, yeah, go for it. The skill set to be a successful YouTuber, take away the money side, take away all that. The skill set and the skills to learn, and the self-marketing, the promotion of it, the algorithm, all. If you can do that successfully, you've worked hard to get to that point. And
it's
that
not
is
an easy thing.
Yeah.
It's not just you put your camera up and that's that. I mean, for me, it kind of was.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not a YouTuber. I don't really use YouTube. But, I know there's people that generally have that as a job with teams and people. And I'm like, that's really cool. Like,
and they've built that team, right?
They built that up from scratch, man.
And
that's a really cool
it's
thing
a business.
to do.
It's just a business. Yeah.
Business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To go into inspiration and motivation and stuff, you seem to, when you're talking there, you seem to be quite good at motivating and inspiring yourself to do things. Is there what made you want to inspire and motivate others through your music and through that? It's quite a loaded question, but
no, it's fine. It's gonna get deep.
Yeah, go for
because
it.
I know how it feels to be rock bottom.
Yeah,
and I have had some stuff in my life which has been really traumatic, and I didn't feel like I had anybody there to help me with that. Lots of different things, bit too deep to get into on the podcast.
Yeah, fair. Go into me.
There's just been people that I've, unknowingly surrounded myself around. And I think when you're younger, you may not feel it as much, or you don't know that it's happening to you. But, I think when I hear the word bullying, I always think that it's really obvious, and it's like it could get physical, or people are obviously saying some really hurtful things and stuff. But it can be very covert as well. And I think what was happening to me was so covert and so underhand, I didn't even realize that I was being abused by friends and whatnot until 10 years later.
Yeah.
Because when I speak to my actual friends now about what happened to me, when I talk about my actual friends about what happened to me in those times, it's like, Ash, this is not normal behavior. These people shouldn't be treating you like this. And it's like, oh, okay. And so it's like, I've just recently turned 30, and I've just realized I spent the majority of my life people pleasing. And having to unlearn that is really quite a journey.
Oh yeah,
quite a journey, because it's just shown me that I almost on autopilot, I just think what somebody else will think before, or how they're gonna feel before I do something, for instance. And it could be something as simple as, oh, this person doesn't have a car and I have a car, and we need to get to this place. And the first thing I'm like, are you going to get there okay? Do you need help? No, I can get the train. And it's like, but they could be on the other side of London for all I know. But it's like, oh, maybe I could just drive to them and then we can go back this way. It could be something tiny as that, that's just been hardwired, because there's been people in my life that have taught me that abandoning my needs is how it should be. And I live to serve you, and only you, and it's all about you. And if I even try and speak up a little bit, it doesn't matter. It's all about you.
Yeah.
And now that I've realized, oh no, that's incorrect, and actual friends will support you and
find the middle ground.
And you can talk to them about difficult stuff, and they won't come at you and be very snappy or whatever. It's a really, really hard thing, really, really difficult thing to unlearn.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the songs kind of came from. I always think to myself, if I'm going through this situation, or like let's say a couple of years ago, I got my heart broken, and I thought, how do I deal with this? Like, if I wasn't me right now, what would I need? I'm like, I just thought I'd need maybe like a cute little song by an Auntie Gladys, perhaps, just saying you're gonna be okay. That's how you're gonna be okay happened, and it's through heartbreak.
Yeah, I remember when Emma, again, I spoke about already, my wife, she saw it. She was like, "Look at this song," and I was like, "Hey, I work with Ash," because that's when you were in the show. And I was like, and she was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah," and then so it's even then it's like.
That song was born out of heartbreak because I was like, how do I move on with this? I don't know. Life.
I'll pick up a ukulele and write a song about it.
Pick up the ukulele and just write about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's most of the motivational mantras that you hear or have seen or like just little snippets have all been based on me feeling like that myself. It's never really come from, oh, I know I'm good at motivating others, so let me just do that. It's all come from, I felt like this before and I feel like this. And sometimes I have to be like, gang, I'm not good today. I feel like trash. So I'm just going to sign off for a little bit and that's that.
And is that where we spoke about before, is that where your journey to sobriety came through all that?
Uh-huh.
See that segue?
Yeah.
See that?
That was so good.
14 episodes in, we're getting good.
Ooh, yes, I love this. That was good. Ooh, tingles. Tingles. Yeah, so I think, as I said, I'm 30 now. Probably been drinking since I was 16 or so.
Yeah.
On and off for the most part, but it wasn't really until the last 3-ish years, probably longer actually, because time's weird, but I don't know what time is anymore.
Since lockdown, I'm telling you, time is
timing. I don't know who's what.
I get it.
Yeah, I get it. Because normally I'd be like on it with times and years, and I'm like,
COVID was 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago.
And it kind of ended like 2 years ago when you...
What? And I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, sobriety, yeah.
Sobriety. Yes, I was using the alcohols to numb some stuff. I like calling it that. It's fun.
Yeah.
Just to numb some stuff, but again, didn't even realize I was doing it until, last year I was doing Bleak Expectations in the West End. It was very fun. And press night was press nighting. Free drinks.
We're flowing.
But it was the only time I've done press nights before for shows, and I've drunk at press nights before. This was the first time I drank so much I could not perform the next day.
Ooshed.
I was like, something ain't right here, because it's now affecting my job. For me, that was a wake-up call. I thought, I went in the day after, but I literally, the next day, I could not function, not even remotely. Because sometimes I've been like, oh yeah, I've been hungover, and I'm like, oh, this is going to hurt. Like it happened on Play That Goes Wrong press night, because it segued into my birthday. So I'm like, obviously I'm going to have a drink, but I'm going to come in on my birthday hungover. Like, it was fine.
And isn't that funny about, I think funny about society that you said that. You went, it's my birthday, therefore I'm going to have a drink.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come in hungover. And that's okay.
That's fine.
If a brain surgeon said that to me before I went into brain surgery, I'd be like, bro,
right?
Can you maybe like, should I buy you a drink after? Like, you know what I mean? And I think I've had maybe not to the extremities of what you've went through, or others. I've had a bit of a wake up call with relationship to alcohol and like how much. And I never, I don't know. I don't think I ever drank loads at uni and like drama school and stuff. We did. You're younger and stuff, but as in like a lot through self development and listening to that and like about what you're saying, reflecting on myself. I've started to choose when I want to drink, right? And that's like my journey with it now. So like, watched the football with the Euros being on. Didn't have a drink because I was like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It's cool. Maybe if I was in Germany with my mates, maybe that's the time to drink. Maybe that's when I'm doing it. Went to a stag do, wanted to drink. But that weekend didn't finish on the Sunday night or the Sunday morning because we stopped drinking the Saturday night. But like, I felt that to like the Wednesday or Thursday. And it wasn't necessarily hungover. I was just like, wasn't sleeping right, wasn't eating right, wasn't drinking water because I was out all day, and all these things. So I think it's a good reality check to have. But I think it's really funny what you're saying there was a press night. It went to my birthday, and I drink, I'm going to come into work hungover. Cool.
And it's fine.
Yeah.
And I think now that I've been on the other side long enough, because I've been on both sides now, so I feel like I have some good ground to talk about this, is just, I wasn't planning on stopping drinking completely. I just thought, let me give it a couple of months. And then I thought, actually, alcohol for me has held me back from a lot of stuff, including my health and just putting my head, because for me, it's like I can't have just one drink. I couldn't have just one drink. It'd be like, right, I can taste the alcohol, so I'm going to have to get at least tipsy now, or at least get drunk.
Okay.
It was that sort of drinking.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out the in-between of just having a drink for the banter and just be like, oh, yeah, it's a nice little tipple. It would like, okay, well, we've got to get drunk now. That's the rules. That's the rules. So I just thought, let me just not drink for a couple of months. And I significantly mentally felt a lot lighter in those couple of months. And I've stopped drinking in the past, but I always knew in the back of my mind, my brain was just like, it's almost like some weird, like demon child in my brain, just like, well, you're gonna drink again, aren't you? Because you can't handle, you can't talk to people without a drink in your hand. And I'm thinking, well, this is a damaging lie, because I love chatting, and I don't know where the notion of me believing that I couldn't be in a social setting without being drunk or tipsy, or at least it didn't even have to be drunk. Even if I have a shot or something, I'm like, cool, I could talk to people. You know, like Raj from The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
It was like not being completely unable to speak to women. He'll have like a tiny bit of alcohol and it's fine.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was that to that extent. I'd still talk to people, but I'd feel like a mental block in my brain of I must have something to
like
be
an
able
imposter
to...
syndrome type of thing.
Yeah. Now that I've stopped, I'm like, oh, actually, I'm really good at chatting to people, and I'm really good at just approaching people and just making friends, just for banter.
Yeah.
But it took I was drinking for however many years to realize that for me, alcohol, I was abusing it, like completely abusing it, and I just thought I'm just gonna have to stop for a bit. But it's now obviously been over a year, and I'm like, oh, I actually feel real good without it.
And is this a sobriety you want to continue?
I would like to, kind of.
But you're not shutting off.
I'm kind of stubborn though. I kind of just want to see how long I can go now without having it. Like, because before I was just like, I think I can make it for a year. And there's been some times where I've been like, oh gosh, no. Oh, it's going to happen on this thing or this occasion. But even then, I don't even think about it now. Like, I went to a wedding in Portugal for a friend I hadn't seen in like 10 years. It was wicked. And I didn't even think twice. I knew that I wouldn't need to have any sort of alcohol at the thing. And I have found as well how differently people treat you when you tell them that you don't drink anymore. It's such a weird thing, because I've been to gatherings. They're like, yeah, we're going to get drunk. And I'm like, I'm not going to, because I don't drink. And they're like, what? You don't drink? And I'm like, yeah, they're like, what? Why? You've never had a drink before? And I'm like, I've had a drink, and that's why I'm not drinking anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that's the why.
I learned, I in my younger years, and I'm talking when I was in like drama school, so I was like, 19, 20. I remember being like that. Why don't you drink? Why don't you drink? And a very dear friend of mine, similar journey to yourself, I actually have not actually spoke to him in depth about it, but he now is sober and has been sober for the best part of 4 or 5 years. And I think that's great that he's done that for him and his family. So great.
Yeah.
So props to him. But the thing that I remember feeling really guilty about was when friends would just go, I'm not drinking tonight. And I'd go, oh, come on, as you do, right? As you do.
Yeah.
And since he has said to me that he doesn't drink anymore, I've never questioned it, because you don't know what's going on in anyone's life. Now, someone might be doing it for a health reason, and they might want to talk about it. Some might be doing it for a mental health reason and want to talk about it. Some might not. Some might be doing it for a completely... Someone might be so far that they need help with that and might be going through that journey of sobriety. And if you are doing that, and I've got family that have had to do that as well, and that's great. And I've learned so much in the last like 10 years about what actually sobriety is, or being alcohol free is. And like I was speaking about it this week, I think a lot more people are discussing the alcohol free lifestyle and or elective sobriety. There's a couple of podcasts that I listen to that hosts talk about it a lot, which is they might like people don't drink in the UK, but they go on holiday and have a couple of drinks, and like that's their thing. That's what they do. But they go on holiday once every 3 years. So it's like, but they're not going out, and they're not like actually probably, as you've said, you went out to this wedding, but you've probably, they've maybe had one drink one night, you know, and broke their sobriety. It's not like a case of and that's like there's a guy called Andy Ramage who's been on a few podcasts, and he talks about the middle lane drinker, which is what I'd class myself as the middle lane drinker. It's not someone who is dependent on alcohol to a point that they need help, and there's help out there for people who, if they're listening and they need that, go and do it. I'm not talking about people who are just don't drink. I'm talking about people who drink on occasion, probably once every 6 months, get too drunk, like you're saying there, that press night, and went, whoa, reality check. And he talks about the middle lane drinker, about elective sobriety, and Andy Ramage, I'd love to get him on the show actually, so I'm going to shout him out. But also, if anyone wants to listen to content like that, it's I found it eye-opening. I did dry January and ended up doing dry February. Did like 61 days, and I actually felt a real change. And I've learnt my tolerances now, and going, right, when do you want and when do you not, type of, as I was saying. And it's, I think hearing you talk about it is really cool.
Thank you.
And you should be proud of yourself for doing it.
Thank you muchly. I will segue, it's totally related to this, but I did find, because I was not drinking alcohol, I turned to junk food. And that's when the whole fitness and
well, you compromise, don't you?
Yeah, that's when I thought, right, I need to actually just do a massive overhaul on my physical life, because...
And it probably helped up here.
And it definitely helped mentally, for sure. Don't get me wrong, I still have days mentally where my brain, I'm in a hole, and I'm like, today is not... like, it lasts for a couple of weeks, but I'm able to identify those days and pull myself out a little bit easier. It's still hard, but yeah, since just rediscovering my relationship with food as well, because it's kind of a similar thing to alcohol, which is, even if the portion's too big, well, it's there and I have to eat all of it. I don't care how sick I feel afterwards. I have to eat it all because it's right there, and that's the portion I've been given. So I'm learning about portion control as well, because obviously with alcohol you can cut it out, but you can't cut out food because you need food to survive. So that's been a little bit more of a challenge.
It's all a learning journey.
It's all a learning journey for that.
We're actually coming, we said this, we're like, well, let's try and aim for this target. We've only got 6 minutes left. So I'm going to ask. It would happen. Between us two, it would happen. So I've got 3 questions that they're semi-quick fire, but have a little think about them. I've asked every guest so far. The third one's a new one for last couple of guests.
Oh, exciting.
So you're in there. So the first question is, if you could speak to Ashh 10, 15 years ago, what's one bit of advice you would give Ashh?
How old was I 15 years ago? I was 15.
Yeah.
I would say that you are that bitch, because, like, you're very talented. There's going to be people out there who say that you're a whole bunch of things, like you're untalented, or you're ugly, or you're not good enough, or, you know, that you're just not enough. And it's bollocks, mate. Like, it's absolute bollocks, because when you hit 30, life's still going to life at you, but you're going to have the mental capacity to be able to deal with it better. You're also going to have a lot of friends around you and a wicked support group that's going to be able to help you. Also, ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because I'm real bad at that. I'm better, but 15-year-old Ashh had a tendency to shut down everything and everyone. Ask for help. Know you're the bish. And hit the ground running. And if you're scared, live life and do it scared, because who has time to be like, I'm going to wait until I'm not scared. Just do it scared.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. You got this.
And into the future, Ashh, 10, 15 years in the future, scary time to think about. What would be something you'd maybe hope for, or a bit of advice, or a hope, or a question you'd want to ask Ashh?
I would ask her, how is your overthinking doing? Is that still a thing? Because I would generally be like, are you dealing better with worrying about literally everything? Because I know I'm doing better than 15-year-old Ashh. I would hope to know that 40-year-old Ashh would be doing better as well. Yeah. That would probably be the main question.
Yeah. And that is a good question to ask.
Are you still worrying too much? Probably. Are you still being that bitch though, and you're still doing your songs and your stuff, and you know you at the Oscars maybe?
Yeah.
The BAFTA.
Put it in the world.
The BAFTA. The Oliviers.
Yeah.
Come on. Good.
And
you deserve
then
it.
the third and final question is, and I think this is quite deep, but it's like surface level in a way, is what is success to you?
Success to me. This is a fab question. As long as I love me and what I'm doing, and if other people also enjoy that, then that's fine. But if they don't enjoy that and I still enjoy what I'm putting out there, then that's success enough. Because I've learnt that I don't need 6 million followers to feel some sort of pride for myself. I can write songs for people, which I have done. I can also write songs for myself and still be happy about that. I can write my own stuff at home, and I don't feel the need to put everything out just to prove that I'm good at what I do. Success doesn't have to be a load of money, although money is very useful. And it doesn't have to be, look at all the stuff that I have. For me, it's just making sure that my mental health is in check, my physical health is in check, and making sure that people around me are also in check. And that to me is success. Like, it might not be A-list actor, it might not be that, it may never be that, I don't know. But I'm doing what I do in this industry because A, I'm good at it, and B, I'm always alert that it could just go.
Yeah.
I'm never like, oh yes, I'm the bee's knees. No, that's not the right one. But you know what I mean. I'm never that. I'm always just making sure that I'm staying as grounded as I possibly can, because it could all just go. Could all go.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So I'm already successful, whether people think I am or not. I know that I'm successful for where I want to be at this point in my life.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens in the next few weeks, years, months, and months is before years, but you get it.
Yeah.
I'm already successful. Thank you.
Ash, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me,
This has been amazing. We've went on a journey. We've had fun. We've went deep. We've come back up with some good advice. If anyone wants to follow you, where would be the best place to go?
Ashh Blackwood on Instagram, and also as it says on the thing, as in ASHH Blackwood. Please add the 2 H's.
Yeah,
for the listeners. I know this is a watchy thing as well, but for the listeners,
we'll put it all in the show notes, and if people want to connect, they will. Ash, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Not at all.
Much love to your face.
Yeah, and thank you so much for watching and listening. Please do remember to subscribe to the show, share the show. And yeah, let me see where you're watching or listening. I love to see where everyone's doing their thing. But thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.